The majority of you got 2/8 in the multiple choice quiz. There were 10 questions, and in those 10 questions, you got, I mean, yeah, there were 10 questions. Is it 10 questions? Not sure about it. No, there were 5 questions. 5. So you got at least 2 wrong. You got 1 wrong. You got 1 wrong. Don't know why, but I think you fix the problem. I have set another quiz of features of the animal kingdom. I set a quiz of features of the animal kingdom. Every lecture, when I finish a lecture, I send the questions. In physics, we did the theory part, and I also sent the EM1. I sent the EM1. Please remind me by the end of this month, I should send you all tutorials of physics and their answers, and their answers, tutorials and the answers. So, but EM1 we'll do it together. But EM2, I'll just do 1 questions, and I'll give you the also give you the answers. Are you good on that one? Where are others? Okay. Next slide. Lecture 2, feature animal kingdom. You need to write the quiz. We have multiple choice, is 10 marks. After multiple choice, we have long answer question. Long answer question at the end of it is maybe 60 marks. Yeah. So not only they sent a message about go connected. Tell her that she's connected. She's connected. I get to the So let's start today. Topic is evolution of metazoa. The evolution of metazoa. Evolution of metazoa. We always say that animals, langutu again.
Error.
So evolution. We always say that we say that animals evolve. So how did it evolve? Clear. I told you that most question that we have, the most question that we like to ask ourselves in this topic of animal and plant. When was the first animal? How did it come into being, the first animal? This is the first question we always ask ourselves. So all multicellular animals are called metazoans. They are called what? Metazoans. All multicellular. There's an objective in Form 4 which wants us to determine multicellular animals and unicellular animals. Like baboon, even in Form 3 is there. In that book of Form 3, which say baboon, other animals will say this one are multicellular, this one are unicellular. So multicellular animals are metazoans. So if I say metazoa, in other words, I'm saying multicellular. So single-celled animals are called protozoans. They're called protozoans. Meta, later, zoo, animal. Proto, first, zoo, animal. So in other words, the metazoans, they originated from the protozoans. From today, we need to know that our ancestors are the protozoans. are the protozoans. So a unicellular or a single cell organism, because uni means one, cellular means cell, it consists of a single cell. So a unicellular organism, it is independent. It is what? Independent. A unicellular organism is independent. A unicellular organism is independent. It does not depend on any other organism for survival. Actually, you saw that when you guys were drawing some organisms, I'm giving a reference, like bacteria in Bio 111. You just said, but that cell of bacteria which you drew, it controls everything. It feeds, it excretes, it reproduces. That's a unicellular organism. But let us take example of your cell. You know which cell do you know in your body? Let's say a bone cells. The bone cells, they can't do anything from themselves. They need other cells for them to do what? To survive. They need other cells for them to survive. Now, if we just cut off your skin and put yourself there, they're going to die, because those cells, they are not used to be unicellular. They are multi-cellular. So unicellular organisms, their reproduction is high. They can just divide fast because they are so independent in a level whereby they can do anything for themselves. They can do anything for themselves. Can do anything for themselves. So the protozoans, which we are saying that they are the ancestors of the metazoa. There is what we call there's another theory of the symbiotic theory, where we believe that something leads to something. The symbiotic theory. This is one of the theories which you guys will learn in Bio 111. So for this time, we're not going to talk about them because you know about them, and we're going to ask you about them. We are saying that although the protozoans are the first organisms, they belong to the kingdom Protista. Let me tell you something. We believe that metazoans are from the protozoans. Yes, and the protozoans, they had to come together and make the metazoans. I hope I'm repeating this. Single cells and unicellular cells, they came together, they're dividing, and they made another cells. I'm repeating this, I know that. But you can ask me a question, say, hello, Masali, there's something interesting here. Do you say the same protozoans which we know now, that the same protozoans which were there, or the same class? Yes, they are the same. They are the same. Which are there. Even as I told you, that animals, when they evolve as a whole. Even the time when we were Homo habilis, or we were Homo australopithecus, that time. You see, our structure we were so wild. We have hair all over. We had much strength. We would run long distance. Kind of run long distance like how example how some hyenas run now. We had many stamina. It means even the animals which we were eating, like Bodica and all those animals, they were in that form also. It means they had the same energy to run faster than us. Like there's in animal evolution, there's something interesting. You can't evolve alone while other animals are not evolving. It's because of oxygen, which we share. We can't become so superior than other animals. Nowadays is the era of technology. We are superior sometimes. We have realized that animals of today, they're also superior than, like, that they're also somehow they're also superior, like us. The more we evolve, they also evolve. So even in this protista, the protista, which had the ability to come into clusters of cells, and make an animal, they've evolved, meaning that they don't have such ability again, because we'll be having more. It means we'll be having many animals. Each and every day there will be an animal for me. If those protists had that ability, you understand what I'm talking about? Or I'm just saying things that don't make sense. Do you understand?
Yes.
You understand? So the same protista, which it used to be there, is the same protista which even today, but there's some characteristics which have changed. Some of you who here too are going to do biology, cell biology, genetics, and also are going to do immunology, bacteriology, microbiome. You will understand this thing much better than us today. So the protista is a kingdom protista. This is a kingdom where, now, I think we said that the protozoans, that they belong to the kingdom protista, and that these are the first animals to live. They were single-celled animals. Now, let us discuss about the protista. This is the objective now. Anywhere we come upon, we discuss it, we elaborate it. Even the protista, there are some protistas which led to the formation of metazoans. Who know this? I hope most of you know the structure of a spermatozoa. Flagellates. Spermatozoa, they come from flagellates. I hope you know the structure of the cilia. The ciliates, they resemble that. But right, we are from the protozoans. When I need the cell meaning what the animal, it's a metazoa. So they turn straight. The protozoans. There are protozoans, they're single cells, meaning that they have to come together. Comparing the process of a spermatozoa, of a sperm, resembles a flagellate which is a protozoa. The mechanism of phagocytes, the phagocytes are the white blood cells again. So they work like amoeba. I'll go through all of these classes of protozoans, explain them, and I just relate to the cells which you know, showing that we still have those characteristics of protozoans, and we are from protozoans. And scientists have proven that. This is not, I told you, this is not theory. This is what happened. It's not like a theory of Bambukuchu. It's not a theory of the Kalangians. It's not a theory of Christians or Muslims. This is the truth. So there are 4 classes. These classes, we call them phylums of protozoans. They're going to ask you this question. about these phylums of protozoans. Remind me after this lesson so that I can send the questions that test one animal, how you be test one, so that you always know them. And I encourage you to read those questions and answers each and every day before a bio lesson. 20 minutes, you read, you claim the answers because that will really remind me. So, the single-celled animals, the phylums of protozoans, we have amoeba. The words which are in red, they just symbolizes the general names. Like we can say phylum Sequoia. Yeah. When you're just outside there, when you're talking to a friend, you just say amoeba. But here we say phylum Psychodina. With flagellates. Flagellates are phylum Mastigophora. Phylum Mastigophora. We have ciliates. Ciliates are phylum Ciliophora. We have sporozoans. Sporozoans, we can say these are phylum Sporozoa or Apicocompleza. Apicocompleza, from the word complex. These 4 groups of protozoans are based on the locomotory or motility structure that they use. Where we are able to differentiate these phylum Psychodina, Mastigophora, Ciliophora, and Sporozoa. We are able to differentiate them because of the way they move. They don't move the same. That's why we say those which move like this, they're Ciliophora. Those who move like this, they're Mastigophora. Those who move like this, they're Psychodina. Those who move like this, they're Apicoplexa or Sporozoa. Now, we are going to look at the first phylum of protozoans. This phylum is flagellates. And we are going to draw structures here of these protozoans. But because your bio is online, I don't know whether they'll make it online or physical. But if it is online, it means we should know to differentiate the structures. Because they can demand us to draw because we don't have the computer skills of drawing. The flagellates, the phylum Mastigophora. Why are they classified as phylum Mastigophora? They are classified as phylum Mastigophora because they use the flagellum as the locomotory structure. They move by the flagellum. So the flagellum can propel the animal forward. Flagellum like spermatozoa. I'm not saying phylum Mastigophora. Yeah, in an example. I just give you guys an example. So the phylum, that flagellate, can be in front, pulling the organism, or can be at the back, pushing. So the flagellates, it depends. Can be 1 in an organism, can be 2 in an organism. It ranges from 1 to 100. So an example of a flagellate is euglena. Is euglena. Is euglena. They're going to ask you this about euglena. And let us draw the structure of euglena. That is the structure of euglena. Make sure that from this lecture, from today, you sit down, you draw the structures of euglena. You should make sure that you know the parts of euglena. I can't help you I can't teach you to claim the parts, But now I'll help you to identify the flagellum. Do you see the flagellum there? That means that if you see the flagellum, this is a phylum Mastigophora. This is phylum Mastigophora. So let us go into details about this phylum Mastigophora. Because flagellates are divided into two classes. Mind you, we believe that some animals originated from these protozoans, meaning that flagellates, there are two major kingdoms of metazoa. Metazoa. There are two major kingdoms of metazoa, which are kingdom Animalia, kingdom Plantae. Kingdom Animalia, kingdom Plantae. It means that there are some flagellates which we think that they made the animals, and some which we think that they made the plants, because there are flagellates which are plant-like and animal-like. We have Phytomastigophora. The word mastigophora means flagellate. So you can say Phytomastigophora and with it phytoflagellate. Phyto means plant-like. We have zoomastigophora or zooflagellate. These are flagellates which are animal-like. So Phytomastigophora includes chlorophyll-containing protozoans that can produce their food photosynthetically, as do plants. The Phytomastigophora, these are plant-like. It means these are flagellates which they can also make their own food. We have the two examples of these flagellates, which are euglena or euglena and dinoflagellates. 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 We have these two flagellates, which are euglena and dinoflagellates. When I ask you tomorrow and say, what are dinoflagellates? Just say these are phytoflagellates. They are Phytomastigophoras because we believe that they have chlorophyll containing vesicles in them. Or there you look at the structure of a euglena before you see, like they're like in green in color. They're like green in color. They're like green in color. I don't know where the slide went, but it's right now. Zooflagellates are colorless, animal-like protozoans. Symbiotic trichonympha or trypanosomes. After symbiotic, it means these zooflagellates, they live in other animals. They have a relationship with the other animals. Example, this zooflagellate, they will live into the digestive tracts of termites. These are problematic. They are animals. They are animals. So the zooflagellates, they live inside where the termites are. So they utilize the nutrients in cellulose. When the termite eats cellulose, the termite is not that hard enough to digest cellulose. Even us, we can't digest cellulose. But animals like ruminant, non-ruminant, they have bacteria inside. So the bacteria which is inside them is called symbiotic bacteria, I guess, because it helps the animal and the animals helps it. So the trypanosomes, they are also symbiotic. What the trichonympha species, that SPPP there means species. Symbiotic trichonympha species, example are the trypanosomes. They are symbiotic. So these are the zooflagellates. These are the zooflagellates. or zoomastigophora. So I talked about protozoans. I said that they have classes, they have 4 classes. They have Psychodina, they have Mastigophora, they have Xylophora, there's Apicocomplexa. Now we're discussing the Mastigophora phylum. We said the Mastigophora, they use the flagellates as their locomotion. They use the flagellates as their locomotion. And we believe that they have that. There are others that are plant-like, animal-like, sort of. We have Euglena and Dinoflagellates. These are examples of Phytomastigophora. And we have Zoomastigophora, which are colorless, animal-like, and we have Trypanosomes, or the Trichonympha species. Give me a 60-second break. I need to drink water. Those words in guy. Okay, let us continue. Now, when I started this animal topic, I told you that animals had to come into class as they do this and this and this. Such ways, I want to now to support that scientifically. Well, how did they come into class as? How did they do support it scientifically? When I explain like this, you need to be able to figure it out. So flagellates can be solitary or colonial. Example of those colonial flagellates are the volvox. Free living. Some flagellates can be free living, like Euglena. What the free living means, like this objective day, it explained to us that flagellates they can live into clusters. They can live into their own, alone, or they can be parasitic. When you say something is parasitic, it means it lives into another organism. It lives into a host. So flagellates which are colonial are the volvox, which are free living, they can live alone, independent, single. They are called Euglena, which can live in other organisms that are called the tryposome or the Trichonympha species. I want you to get something here. I don't want you to be confused, because we said that flagellates are protozoans and protozoans are single or unicellular. Although these flagellates will be in this level, they will be living together as clusters. It's not like they are multicellular at this stage. No, they are not multicellular at this stage, because they can be 5, but without them sharing anything. Do not share anything. Like you guys who always do in a room set university of Botswana, will be 2 there, but you don't share anything. Yes, living together, but you don't share anything. You have your own clothes, on this, own food, on this. Even they'll believe in that, not sharing anything. These are colonial. But multicellular, they share everything. So parasitic forms live in the intestine or in the bloodstream of a host. We know that parasitic live into the intestine or the bloodstream of a host. And zooflagellates feed by food particles, and digestion occurs intracellular in structures called food vacuoles. The zooflagellates, they what to call food vacuoles. I hope you are going to draw the structure of a tryposome. I hope you are going to draw the structure of a tryposome. You will see these food vacuoles, these parts which are there. Phytoflagellates manufacture food through photosynthesis. We've talked about the audio morning. We are done with flagellates. Mind you, there are three forms of flagellates. There are those who can live into clusters or colonia, which are called, examples are the volvox. And there are those which can live free living, euglena, that those who can be parasitic, and which are the trypanosoma. And this issue of volvox, save it, because we are going to talk about it when we talk about the theories of evolution of metazoa. The theory. We have the essential theory and the colonial theory. We have the essential theory and the colonial theory. This theory of evolution, these are theories which are trying to explain what, how did cells come together to be metazoa? How did protozoans come together to be metazoa? So colonia, it means the flagellates, the volvox, they play a role in the colonia. I mean, in colonial theory. And the most acceptable theory is the colonial theory over the essential theory of metazoa, or how protozoans became metazoa. We have another phylum, the phylum Coelates, or phylum Coeliophora. This phylum, example of a coelate is the paramecium. I hope you know the paramecium. And you drew it last labs, if I'm not mistaken. Did you draw it, paramecium, when they taught you how to use the microscope? Paramecium. So you were drawing something which we are going to discuss now. You might have copied it, but unfortunately you didn't know. And I'm going to draw it next semester. Hint, next semester, go to the lab knowing the structures of these things. Listen, gentlemen, you don't draw what you see in the microscope. We draw what you know. If you see that this is a paramecium, draw what, like, drive a structure. Make sure that it fits like a paramecium. They can't even try to be a problem to you. Because when they come and they say, this is what you saw, you say, yes, I saw something like that. Because our sight is not the same. What I see is not what you see. If I see a paramecium in a form like a box, and the lab demo see it in a form like a sphere, I saw a box. I think these are my eyes. Yeah. So coelates are covered with tiny hair-like projections. You know, you're going to see them, tiny hair-like projections. Covered with cilia. There are two types of cilia. We have the motile cilia, which constantly beat in a single direction, and we have a non-motile cilia, which typically serve as sensory organs. Like, if you see the cilia on top of a cell, it has two functions. It's either it makes a cell to move, you say is a motile cilia, or it is used as a sense organ. It is used as a sense organ. But the cilia that you know in your body, they beat dust into the trachea. You know the trachea? The trachea. What is the other word of the trachea? Is it the trachea or what? Can't tell him, pipe is everything. Even I forgot, but I'm doing another. So these are the things which you need to know, that the cilia is in two forms. There's a cilia which is going to beat to make an organism move, and there's a cilia which it serves as a sensory organelle. Example of this, the paramecium. We need to also know how to draw the structure of the paramecium. Wow, that's a simple, easy structure. That It's much easier than the process of you Facebooking. If you see yourself being able to Facebook, download, comment, that process is too difficult. There's someone who can't do that. But there's someone who can just draw this thing. It means this thing is so simple to you. I'm giving you 3 to 4 minutes looking at it, looking at its structure and appreciating it. Because they like to ask this one too much time, the cleaner. You can look at that. Okay, we may move. That's the structure of seed of one. We have the third phylum called the phylum Psychodina. These are the amoebas, and we know the amoebas, like we know the amoebas. And the amoebas, they use temporary extensions for them to move. And or projection of the cytoplasm, they use the pseudopodia for them to move. In biology, if you hear the word pseudo, it means a false. It means false. Pseudo means false. So you're going to talk about you'll be hearing such words like you pseudo, you means true. And these are things that you need to be understanding in this. So there is a pseudopodia, a false shape. How they move from after here, go to YouTube and search how do amoeba move. You will see those pseudo motion. I think here we can just show it. And as I shift to YouTube and I do everything there. And animals with these locomotor structures are called the amoeboids. Example of an amoeba is Amoeba proteus. Amoeba proteus. Amoeba, not moeba. Amoeba, amoeba, amoeba proteus. So these pseudopods, they play an important role in locomotion as well as engulfing food particles. Like you know how the phagocytes engulf. I think the first cycle like this and then engulf. Yeah, that's an amoeba. That's how an amoeba engulf. Mean that the phagocytes, they get these characteristics from amoebas. I think the amoebas are one of the cells which had to come, and although it is rare for them, for the amoebas to make colonies, it's rare for them to make colonies, but let's assume they did. So another phylum, this is an example of an amoeba. You can also appreciate it. This is an example of an amoeba. This is an example of an amoeba. Look at this pseudopod. Like the pseudopods, they are not stationary. Like I grew up human beings, like flagellate. There's a flagella. A flagella is there and is there for until that flagellate dies. The amoebas, what's allowed guy. If had left thing, the pseudopods, like they form at the left side, had right thing, the pseudopods, like you see how they move. They move by this pseudopods. This is the last phylum of protozoans. Is called phylum Apicompleza or Sporozoa. This one I don't think they have diagrams of it. They don't have diagram of it, but you know it. protozoa. You know that malaria is caused by protozoa. Eh? One of the protozoans which causes malaria, the protozoa which causes malaria is called this plasmodium. So these are the apicomplexes. These are characterized by the presence of a unique organelle called an apical complex. These protozoans are called the apicomplexes because they have an organelle inside them. They are much complex. They have an organelle inside them called the apical complex. They have the organelle inside them called the apical complex. And they are unable to move by themselves. These protozoans, they can't move by themselves. They need a medium to carry them from one place to another. Like the plasmodium. The plasmodium needs a female mosquito to carry it. We have another one called the coccidia. The coccidia, this is a protozoa which causes coccidosis. Coccidosis is a disease of chickens. A chicken will become restless, have like something like a black mucus coming out from it. Yeah, especially it affects birds. And we have the gregarines invertebrates. I'm not sure about that one, but it's an example of this apicomplexa. You know that the apicomplexa, they are characterized by the apical complex. They have that unique organelles into them. And much of their life cycles are unable to move by themselves. I talked about that one. They need a carrier to move them from one place to another. These are also protozoans. These are also protozoans. We can talk about organisms and don't talk about their reproduction. How do they reproduce? So their reproduction is going to somehow, somewhere, is going to be different, but like it's the same, but there's some traits where, or there's some characteristics where in their reproductive way is different. Because some species, they can reproduce sexually. Some species of protozoa, they can reproduce sexually. You ask yourself, how? Because how are they reproducing sexually? You say that they're single organism. It means they depend on their own. They depend on their own reproduction. It means they should divide by their own, do everything by their own. Yeah. The reason is that you find that there are some traits of this. There are some unique animals in all animals. There are some unique animals in all animals. Like some of these are protozoans, like the volvox. Because of their colonial state, they can end up by chance producing sexually, but they are independent by chance. That's why we say some. The word some, which means there is the issue of chance. Is the issue of chance. So, but some also they can produce by cell fusion. So let us explain this process. What happens there? In this process, two cells attach to one another at their surfaces. By cell fusion, the two cells are going to attach to their surface. Then, in some species, the two parent cells may completely fuse with each other into a large cell. The two nuclei combine to form a diploid nucleus. The nucleus now has chromosomes from each of the two parent cells. The cell can subsequently divide to produce offspring. Cell fusion, this is what happens. You have two protozoans. These two protozoans, they fuse. Dina one. I go to tolerate a one. Maybe it's diffuse. Dina one, they become one. They fuse, they come together, they become one like this. After that, their nucleus are going to combine it there. Like what is happening in your sperm cell and the egg cell? The egg cell, when the sperm cell hits the egg, it releases the nucleus. And the nucleus of an egg and of a cell, they combine, they make something. And that thing's a zygote again. But now, this one, they come together. Like when you have two cells, A and B, they now become C. They become one thing. Now, after the nuclear combine, that nuclear, it has high dividing power, or its dividing energy is so high that it's going to divide. So it can divide as many times as it can. It can divide it as many times as it can. So this objective of animal is so interesting, because how once there A and B, they make C, and C can divide from D to Z. In the divide. Can I see you divide D? D what divide? E what divide? Like until some certain levels where the dividing power is low, they have to make sexually again and gaining dividing power, divide. Let me say they can divide close to as many generations, maybe to 6 generations. After 6 generations, can I give A B dakopana didira C abadira D. D then once the power of divide, that is like E. E then answer the power of divide, that is 5. 5 and the power of divide, that is 6. 6 and the power of divide, that is G. G then and the power of divide, that is key. But at some certain point, they have to mix sexually so that they can regain that dividing power. And I will certainly a question in this sexual reproduction. I want you guys to explain this point. Sorry, they fuse, they come together, the nuclei you combine, they become diploid. I want the diploid nucleus, it means you have chromosome from a male and female. Diploid, I give 2N. Haploid means half. And you got that question in the quiz, most of you. So now they will be having that like this dividing power, they divide and all those kinds of things. So these characteristics of organism giving birth to offsprings which can give birth and give birth sexually, it is there in some animals. You will see that there's some insects whereby it's a very insect, it's in like insect like it. Okay, let me give you an example like by myself. I am born with a baby inside me. The baby inside me, it has a baby inside that inside. That baby inside it has a baby. I hope you can get this picture. There's some animals which are born like that. Animal we keep only one. You want only one, and you need to like one after 3 days. After another one. Wait another one. Now we look at it. It don't probably even like come assume I'll control the pest that. But when I pest the one today, who convince the pest is set equal to one and I live fail. Well, the set equal to one equal. Who convince the one? How much aqua? Hey, I was already 50% of my finance. I can take out toilet. Yeah, they still have these characteristics of protozoans. Actually, those animals, those metazoans are from those animals. I never said my favorite. I'm just giving an example of such animals which are there. So this is the characteristics. By characteristic. By characteristic ya go nna o ga sena go tsholwa ga wane o ta o tsholela bana le yone kana o sa kopane le other guys, opposite gametes. You are born with children inside. Me, this characteristic is nice. It should have passed into human beings. At least. You would be men in this now in books. At least. Some protozoans like ciliates, as we told you that we said that there are different ways of reproduction. In some protozoans like ciliates, they don't fuse with one another, but there's conjugation. So the reproducing ciliates become attached at the surface of the pore, developing at the part of the attached. Conjugation, like there is that attachment. There's that attachment that is going to lead to some developing that point of attachment. The paired ciliates extend reproductive nuclei that can be haploid. This nucleus from one parent passes through pores connecting the two parent cells and fuses with the reproductive nucleus of the parent. Like in conjugation, there's exchange of reproductive substance and something is born. Conjugation can be into different forms. You can conjugate whereby I just attach to you, I suck the reproductive things. Now I go away, I'm going to reproduce alone. Or we just reproduce at the same point, really attached. And this characteristics is there in Metazoa. Like, have you ever seen some insects after they do that thing? They can remain for 5 minutes attached like this. People tell me, icon. I don't know about human beings. I never seen them doing such things, but the other insects, I always see them doing it. Like you see them, they will be remain attached. Even other things like dogs, but dogs there's another mechanism, but not of that. But look at this small insects. They can sometimes conjugate. I don't know about human beings. That one can help me, guys. Yeah, you can help me because you are scientists. You can help me about that one. You can just unmute yourself and comment and say, even human beings, they can conjugate. After, like, they can just attaching and they have that characteristics of conjugation. I don't mean they are conjugating. They have the characteristics of conjugation. Like, after they can remain for some time together. I don't know. You can help your teacher, your tutor. Okay, you are quiet. No problem. So let us move on to what happens in reproduction. That's why we explain about it, because we said the animals, they have the same development. That development is the same. Like zygote chromosomes come together, they divide. You know more than what is written there. I know. You know more what is written there. Like there's a blast to this, what you know more what is written there. So the diploid nucleus will undergo a process of cell division that makes it haploid. Then the ciliates with the haploid nucleus divide as sexually reproductive, giving to many offsprings. We have explained that. We have explained that. We have explained that. So I hope we are done with the first part of today. We are done with the first part of today. So the explaining more about the evolutionary of a cell. I will not explain these things of a cell. I'll demand you guys to read it. I'll demand you guys to read it. I'll explain about colonial protista and colonial organisms, and also advantages of colonial organisms, and also I'll explain about the colonial organism, not the evolution. The high soil cells need to be small. These are things which are, if you don't know them, understand them. So now let us look about the colonial protista. It would appear that during the course of evolution, organisms were pushed into becoming multicellular because it was the only option open for them to grow. Let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. Single cells, they grow to a certain limit. A cell, there's a limit in which a cell would grow. When a cell grows, let's assume that a cell will grow to 1 centimeter. When it reaches 1 centimeter, it can't grow bigger. It's going to die. So organisms did that. They said, we can't grow bigger. How can we grow bigger? Because we need to survive. Because organisms, they realize that the bigger we are, the stronger we are. But when they reach some certain volume, when the cells grow bigger, the surface area decrease, the surface area volume is affected. Therefore, they die. As a result, for organisms to be bigger, they were pushed to come together. Like, you know that for us to be big like an elephant, it means that we need to come together as cells. I never said the cells they were able to cluster to be big like elephants. No, elephant is another mechanism where they are big like that. We discuss about it. So animals, these unicellular organisms, they came together and they formed colonies. What will happen is that we say that a cell will do fusion. After fusion, the nuclear do everything to the it means that if you see about divide, still divide into D, D, and F. D, E, F. Has us now divide. I think how high? You don't do to how high. D enough. This one to Banawat can 8 to divide. Mas na ko divide it 25 patalali. This is a patalali. Maybe not what they will form what you call colonies or clusters. So a colonial organism is a collection of unicellular organisms living together for mutual benefit. Colonial organism is a collection of unicellular organisms living together for mutual organism. I want you to know that in colonial organism, there is no integration of cells. The cells, they survive on their own. Example, you have cell 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that are together. Yes, they might help each other to move from one place to another. They might help food. Mulimo wa ijela papa. Mulimo ijela lati mwede save. Mulimo wa reproduce ita. Mulimo wa like like there's a difference between organism and multi-organism. There's integration. That's what I want to say. The corner of cinnamon mila is not nucleus. We put a weak entity. Because yeah, it's what this is detail of it. You need to tie to the nucleus. That's what I want a bone tissue in a nucleus. Moti red blood cells and nucleus. Red blood cell is busy. It provides oxygen. Can it is really oxygen? It's a bone cell. We put this as the entity. Here, these cells, they are just living together for other benefit, like to protect themselves against a certain project. And when they protect I hardly one reach. Me I reach. to the copper for that benefit only, but not other benefit. So the colonial organism, like the Volvox, even if you can separate the cells, would you separate? Cell number 1, cell number 2, go there. Cell number 3, go there. Those cells that are going to survive. They're not going to survive. But now, try to separate your muscle cell. Try to cut yourself by mistake now, or just where there's a wound, like just remove any cell from your body, put it there, and see whether this cell will be alive for the next coming 3 minutes. The cell will be dead. Because your cells are multicellular. But colonial organisms is just a collection, a cluster of cells. So let's look at the advantages of coloniality. That means now the cells are evolving. That challenge was for them to grow up. And they notice that for them to grow up, they need to come together. So they're coming together. But now, because they still have that stingy character, they don't want to share anything. Like they don't want to integrate. Can I want to say to share anything? I mean the life processes, to share the life processes. Cell number 1 sharing a life process with cell number 2 of what is happening in your bodies right now. Your cells now, they are sharing everything. And I say, I don't mean food. I mean life processes, like to sharing respiration or breathing or diffusion. They didn't want to do like that. I always see people who are lying to themselves and say, hey, when you are my this, you are lying. You can't. Can you trust someone with a breathing system? Imagine if they don't like you, they close the pipes. Die. So the colonial groups, they share resources for mutual benefit. Like when these organisms are together, it improves their defense, it enhances food gathering, gain ability to attack large prey. So these are the things that they share. Like, although you can separate them, they can still find food for themselves. But they don't share things like diffusion. The colonial organisms, they don't share things like nutrients, because they don't, that time, they trust one another, mind you. They were independent. So colonial organisms were probably the first step towards multicellular organisms via natural selection. So the difference between these organisms and the multicellular organism is that the colonial organism, they're just in a colony. But multicellular, they have integrated, they share, they depend on one another for life processes. Like today we have brain cells. These are the cells which are there to only think, to only make, like they're there because of what you have. Your food cells, you have your heart cells, cardiac cells, that they're only to make sure that they don't stop pumping blood. It means they help each other. And in the multicellular, cells are specialized. For a single, like they have a but in colonial, they have all functions. That's why. I mean the colonial cells. This says that they give them a so but that wildness so you can't do anything to it. So we are the vox of the volvox. So these are examples of the colonial organisms. We have the Pandorina, we have the volvox. So these are just the examples of colonial organisms. These are just examples of colonial organisms. I hope you can see the volvox which we were talking about there. You can see the Idoria there. You can see the Pandorina there. So these are the that's it. So these are the examples of these colonial organisms. So any questions? How's it, Mega? Yeah. Any questions, guys? The monarch. So I'll give you a 10 minutes break so that we come and hammer chemistry. Thank you very much.